Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another stream. Uh, how are you doing, guys? Hmm, 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 hmm. All right. We'll be starting in a minute. We'll be starting in a minute. Hello, 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 hello. No problem. Welcome back. So let's we'll start in a minute. Let's see how. All right. So, guys, few things to do first. Uh, am I properly audible? Is the stream going well? And second thing, please like this stream, share it with your friends, and we'll start. It would be good if you guys have your, you know, environment ready. So, all right. So, what are we going to do today? We are going to implement middlewares. I think this is it. This is good. And for the part, I'll do this. All right. Let's go here. Now, let's understand what a middleware is and how Actix-web is going to help us to create a middleware and what all we will do today to, in our Actix-web server that we have created to make it a step towards how backend works. So, what a middleware is. So let's suppose there is a client, and we have a server here, and we have a app inside it. Are we I think this is uh, you know let's not do this. So instead I should give you some separate example. So let's suppose this is a thing, and I will start creating circle inside it, just to give you an you know how this thing is, how middleware comes in action. And inside this we have our app. This is our app, and imagine this is our server. Okay, this circle is our server. These are the layers. I'll tell you what these layers are, and this is our core app, where all the logic happens. Now let's assume a request is coming in. All right, this is a request. So let's say a request comes into our server. Someone request to our API. Now what these layers are? So these layers are the checks that needs to be passed before going into our app. So these are called middlewares. So we cannot directly make a request to directly target our app. We need to perform several checks. We need to perform something before actually going into this thing. So the process of doing this, and what is the outcome of this process, is called a middleware. So these layers are the middleware. And so what happens is, let's suppose this upper layer is M1. This is you know this is M2, and this inner layer that we have here is our M3. Okay, and this is our app. So here will be the flow of how it goes, right? So request will come, it will enter M1. Let's suppose M1 is our logging middleware, so it logs the request. Then there is a function called next, which calls the next step in the execution. So it could be anything. It could be a next middleware. It could be if we have only one layer, then we could the next step would be to directly send it to app. So let's suppose a request comes, it passes through M1, it will again pass through the next step would be M2, and the next step would be M3. So these are the layers, and you know that a middleware, we have a next function, right, to call the next step in the execution. It could be anything. So a request comes, it goes through M1, then it passes to M2, then it passes to M3, and then only it will pass to our app. Now let's say M1 is our logging middleware. All right, let me just do this. M1 is our logging middleware. M2, let's say, is our let's say it's an auth middleware. And M3, let's suppose it's a user retrieval middleware. All right. We can like combine M2 and M3 together in one, because if the authentication passes, let's suppose any token is being passed on the request, and if it passes this auth middleware, we can directly retrieve a user from there. So you don't need to like pass every time a user ID in a request. All right. So you just send the token. The second middleware, that is the auth middleware, it will validate a author and extract the user's important details like auth, like the ID or username, or any identifier, and it can wrap it in an arc, because everything is going to be in async, so it will use a thread pool. So you need to in order to safely transfer between the and use between the threads, you need to wrap it in arc. So you need to wrap it in arc, and you can later pass it on to the next step or into the controller. All right. Now this is the flow. A request that will come, first of all it will be logged that a request is incoming, then it will validate the auth, then it will use retrieve the user. So all these middleware will help us to validate a request that it's a proper fetched from like targeted from uh, authentic source. So all these things, now once it reaches our app do some perform some action around it, and then the request will be sent as a response back to the client. So the same step will go, let me just, now the same step will follow but in reverse direction. So when a response will occur, now when if several steps has been performed, then how will the request goes? It will be from our app to M3 to M2 to M1, and then it will be sent to the client. So M1 will be the last step of so these two can always we can so skip that thing. M1, let's say it's a logging middleware. So when the request comes, it says incoming request, logs the detail, and once the user performs some action and the response is sent back, then also the M1 will follows that okay, the request has been completed successfully, and it will be saved as a log. So this will be the flow. So few things to understand over here is that will help so that you guys are aware of the terminologies that we will use on while creating the middleware. One important thing is next. So next will be used to call the next step in the execution. All right, so make sure to do this. Sorry for that. All right, so we'll start by doing this thing. Okay, so maybe I could, yeah. So we'll do something, it's kind of a onion thing. So these layers will help us to, first of all, authenticate our request, that it's a valid request or not, and we can perform some actions before directly going into our app. All right, so these will be performed by middlewares. So we'll do so. So like in the previous stream, I already told you that, okay, so few things to note over here is, let me just open my studio as well here. Yeah, okay. So few things to note over here is we have some issues in this thing, right? Uh, okay, there is another instant open. Let me just close it. Close the terminal. We'll open in instead of this. So ghostly will be like this. Ghostly will be used to as an editor, and will perform the build and run the project from terminal, not from ghostly itself. Okay. Okay, so on the last stream, as you have seen, that it was entirely red. It was not throwing any error, but it was red, right? It was showing an error. So why was that? Also we have some few issues as well, right? We were not able to log this thing info over here. So what we did was we kind of wrote the print statement. So few things that we did change to make it working, make the logs working. What was that? So to run a minimum logger using this crate log info crate and this info macro that we used, we need to pass command line parameters as well while running the this project, and that was rust underscore info equals log along with the cargo run or make run or something like that. So now that we are using make file, so I posted this thing on if I show you the make file, I added this flag over here. So it will be acting as a command line, argument, rust log equals info, and then my thing, the command that is cargo watch run. Now with the cargo watch run, it will do it will watch a directory, and it will do hot reloading whenever we do some changes. And with this flag rust log info are the info, error, and warning macro that we have installed the crate for, it will work. So this issue was solved by that. Second, like as we updated our rust up, so we were having some issues, right? So uh, like the main issue was, we have to update a dependency that we were using, that is called rust analyzer as well. So we have updated our rust up, but we need to update our rust analyzer as well. So I did that by on my lazy config. So if I go here, I searched for rust analyzer, and I did a update on that as well, and I sync the changes, and it worked, right? So that was the issue. Rust analyzer has to be updated as well after a rust up update. All right, so that fixed the issue, and we are here. All right, now let's write the middleware. So how do we do that? As I already told, we have a ref function provided by Actix-web that help us to create a middleware as well. Okay, now let's do. So we'll create a repository, separate folder for that. I'll name it middlewares, and I'll create a mode.rs on it. I'll create a logger.rs. I'll create a auth.rs. I'll go here and say pub mode logger. For now, let's say logger. Then I need to uh, go on the main file and do a mode, fetch it over here as well. All right, now let's go on mode. We have like fetch this thing. Now let's go on the logger part. So here we will create our middleware. It will be a async function that will be called on each request. So as the name suggests, it will log the request. All right, it will log every request that is incoming on our server, and it's an important thing to log every request, and we should have all these logs ready, because if there any issue occurs, then we'll check for the logs first. All right, then we will uh, get the idea of what went wrong, and then we can always update the code base according to that. So how do we do that? We'll say, let's create a function, log requests. Okay, this is the function log request. Now as I already told, we'll have a request over here, and we'll have a uh, next variable over here. Why? Because we will call this next is required to call the next step in the execution. All right, it could be any middleware, or it could be a direct uh, entry on our main app where all the logic happens. Now it will be of type service request provided by Actix-web. All right, and next will be Actix-web also provides this thing inside a middleware struct. We have next, and next is something that will implement a message body provided by Actix-web. So all right, again let's see. We'll define a return type to it. We'll say it will be a result. It will return a service response, and it will be a error Actix-web error, and it will implement something called message body. All right, to satisfy this thing. So now here we will use info. And so why we did info, why we installed a log crate? Because we don't want to use the println statement. We'll make it we'll use info, error, warning macros provided by the log crate. All right, so let's do this thing. We'll say info, log macro rules info. I'll say incoming request, incoming request. So it will be this, uh, you know, we can do this thing. So now we can have a path and method, because once we see logs, we'll check that okay, incoming request for which route, for which method, like what is the method, it is a get, post or something like that, and what is the route the request is calling. All right, so what we'll do, we'll say path, path will be this, and we'll say method, method will be this, and we can get it by rec dot path. We have path and we have rec dot method, right? So this will be our info. Now it is the first log that the request has been logged, the incoming request has been logged. Now we want to process this, uh, the request, right? We will send it to the next middleware, will perform the next call will perform some actions, be it on a next middleware, be it on a core logic app, and once it's completed that thing, it will return, and we want the return log as well, right? The request comes, a log will be logged that okay, the request has been, there is an incoming request on this path and the method is this. It will perform some logic and it will say okay, the request has been completed, whether it's an error, whether it's a success. So we need to do that. How do we do that? We'll say let uh, so let's do this thing. So we'll say let response, and to for the sake of this thing, we'll say we'll return a response from here, because it will implement a responder, and responder will be similar to a service response, that a type that implements a message body. So we'll say we have a next, right? So we'll say next dot call. It's simple. If you are familiar with Node.js thing, there is a method called dot next, like some next, right? So we have a request, we have a response, we have a next on every thing, right? So either you can call next so that it calls the next execution step, or you are in the last, you can directly respond back. So we'll do a next dot call. We'll pass a request, and now we'll await as well. All right. Let's perform a match statement over here so that we can see if there is an error or something like that. So if it's okay, then we'll do this thing. No, if it's proper, if it's a okay response, then we want to log that okay, the request has been request completed successfully. All right. Something like this. Mm, I mean, if you want to, you can do something like this path, again for like this thing, path. Yes, method, this thing. You can do rec dot path and rec dot method. Okay. And after that, sorry, after that you can return the response, and for the error, you can say I will return this thing, but I need to log that as well, right? So I'll use error from a macro rules. I'll say error occurred on, I'll say error occurred, all right, error occurred, I'll again do this thing, path. I'll simply say path now. I don't need this thing. So I'll say rect dot path. Okay. Yeah. Let's save this thing and let's see if we have anything. All right. We didn't have this thing. Unexpected token. Hmm. Okay. Why? Because we didn't use a semicolon here. So it's taking this as a return thing. So it will solve that now. All right. So guys, we have 10 viewers watching, so it would be good if you guys uh like this stream. Come on guys. So we have this thing written. Now this will be our middleware to log every request that will incoming on our server. So but we have some issue over here. Let's see this and fix this thing. It says move occurs here because rec has type service request, which does not implement the copy trait. All right, so the value actually has been moved here. Why? Because the request that we are using, it's been consumed using this next dot call, because the request itself will be moved to the next step in the execution. So I cannot use it over here because the value has been moved. Now how to fix that thing? How to fix that thing? First of all, it doesn't implement a copy trait, so it will be it consumed completely. I can use it over here because it will be an error. Now after this success, what I'll do, um, one thing to note over here is before consuming this request, I can access these things. There is no issue with that. So maybe I could do let, I'll say path is equal to rec dot path. I'll say let method equal to rec dot method, and instead of this thing, I can say path and method. Now cannot move out of rec because because it is borrowed. Move out of rec occurs here. All right, borrow of rec occurs here. So what do we have to do? Borrow occurs here. Borrow occurs here. Maybe I could instead of on everything, I'll do this thing. Borrow later used here. All right. Path. Can I do something like this? It is should not be promoted to do a clone because you know hmm so guys, are you able to figure this out? Are you just like doing along with me, or I mean just watching this stream? Because if you are just watching this stream, you will soon like get bored out of it. So you need to code along with me so that you can experience it firsthand on your system. I forgot to do one thing. Let me just post text. What is the is it Actix underscore crud or Actix crud? Actix, I think it's hyphen, right? So there is a repo link on the chat. Let me pin this thing. So make sure to take a clone from there and fork it. Also, if possible, you can follow me there as well on GitHub. So that's my GitHub. Let me give my Discord URL as well, so that you guys can join me there and we can have, you know, can have chat over there as well if you guys have any issue on this thing. I, regularly post all these things over there. Like if there is any job opening that I see somewhere, I have created few channels over here, so you can just, code Q&A and all of these things. On the frustration channel, you can just simply come here if you want to shout something and then say and just hit enter. Right. Let me just copy. All right. So you can join there as well. Let me paste this thing over here. All right, guys. So make sure to, you know, uh, come on the GitHub and all. All right. So let's go here. Also, it would be good if you guys, like this stream. We have around 15 people watching. Yes, it's Actix-crud, as you can see. So make sure to fork this repo, take a clone, and then you can code along with me. Okay. So let's do this thing. It says borrow later used here. Borrow of request occurs here. Binding request is declared here, and the move out of request occur over here. No, just hitting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, guys, this is our way to create a middleware. So it's our custom middleware. Actix-web also provides a middleware, so you can directly create dot logger from it. So this way. Again, if I do this thing, expected expression found, this thing. All right. So I can. There was a way to do so, right? So let me just check. Uh, crates.io. I have log. There could be some ways, instead of uh, doing it separately, it does it more. It has a great way of logging. There is something. Also, like you can improve this thing, because we already have CERD installed, so you can, always uh, use the logs in a JSON format. So you can do that as well. I'm just posting like here on console. So Amazing. We have 16 viewers right now. That is awesome. That is awesome. So guys, if you please share this thing with your friends as well. So if I say path equal to this thing, so you know I would have to do this thing. So let's check it over here. Completely do this thing. I'll say info, and I'll say path equals. So you know path equals. I'll say percentile path. Now let's move this thing above. Okay, and I'll say method equals percentile method, and then we can say this thing incoming request. I'll simply say uh, I think we have some issue with this thing. Expected expression, found this. hmm. One thing, let's not fix this thing right now. My Let's just see what will happen if I do this. I'll say I can use this thing over here. No, I can say rect dot path, and method say rect dot method. Just do this thing. Let's not do it over here. It will, I think, throw the error on this as well, because the thing is, we can directly say if the request is completed, we can just show this thing. For now, we'll figure it out later. Let's perform our functionality first. And here I can say let path is equal to rect dot path. Yes, I think we were able to do it here, right? Because the this thing is consumed. Mismatched. Closing delimiter. Binding rec. But the request, can I have rest? Dot path is fine here. Hmm. Let's not do this as well. Okay, now this function will improve this thing like later. So first let's map these things. On the main we already have our middleware, right? This module. Now let's do one thing. I'll say dot dot wrap and service request service factory. So maybe we could say log requests. Can we do that? We have a request here as well and a next, so that will be passed along. Now it says can trade bound. Oh my god, let's do a cargo build. Cannot be called due to unsatisfied trade bounds. Required, what is this thing? Transform required by this bound in app t. Let's go over here. The trade Actix-web has the following return trade transform. Transform. Can we use, because we are ref function? No, type mismatch. Type mismatch. It should be done like that. If I go inside here, it says this. I'm awaiting it, consuming it, returning a response as a result, and error if there is an error. So why don't we check Actix-web middleware? Maybe we are we're doing something wrong somewhere. Let's check. Say hi, that is fine. Response, new transform, future, that is okay. Okay, we have call. So we have a ref function. We can create a closure with a request over here. I can then next, it will be, it's a kind, SRV is the next over here. So we did next dot call, from the request, and then we can always so this entire thing we have like break it into separate, like several files. So this is my middleware. This is what we created. We have a request, we have a next, result is service response simple message body. That is exactly what we did. And after that we did a next dot call. It will be a pre-processing and a post-processing. All right. Now we have app.new that we already did. Okay, from function. I need to add this thing as well. From function. It will be from middleware. Uh, oh, oh, Logging. Logging is implemented as a middleware. I create logger middleware. So this thing. Okay. You see, logger is already provided. Like I was saying it right. Logger is already provided, so you don't need to create your custom logger. But we did that because we might do something else from it, like we did. So, but if you guys don't want to create that thing, you can simply say wrap logger default. With this line of code, you are avoiding other things that I am doing. But by creating your custom logger, you will learn a lot of other things as well, right? So we can okay, so now we need to wrap it in a from function, right? So let's go. So instead of doing this thing, I need to use from function, and I'll do this thing now. Hopefully it will solve the issue. So I have to wrap it in from function, and a from function will have a log request function that we have created, and wrap is used to wrap this thing. Now again we will create something else, that is we also need to authenticate our app, right? So we will create something like from function. Is it from function? We'll create something like auth. We can say authenticate requests. All right. So we will also do this thing. Should we do it now? Okay. I was like, I was just commenting it down because I thought that I should implement it later. But let's do this thing. I'll say public async function authenticate request. It will have a request, that is service. Again, first of all, I need to add this thing over here. Pub mode auth. Let me go here. I'll be getting service request, and next, that is named as SRV on the Actix-web documentation. It will implement something that, you know, and again it will be same thing, result service response message body, and error from Actix-web error. So yeah, it will return a response. Yeah, so let's do instead of this thing. Again, we'll call the rect dot next. Oh, sorry. I'll say next dot call. So this next dot call will be called after the authentication is done. So on the authentication part, what we'll do, we will, fetch the request headers. We'll look for a auth token, and we'll check if the auth token is starts. It's an initial check to check the auth token if it starts from a bearer, and we'll have show 256 crate that will used to work with that token that will pass. And if the token is okay, basically it will be a jot token, right? So it will be a jot token. So jot token will have some information. We will have a user information. Maybe we can create a login endpoint. So it will have a user information, and if it's success, we'll decode it and we'll wrap the user info on the request, because we don't want to send each time a user ID on every request. We'll just pass that token. If it's a valid token, it will have a user ID, and we will wrap that user ID into our this thing, into our request, and that will be accessed as an extension on the controller or on the repository function where we need that thing. All right, so it will be something like that. We'll say dot await. So we can do that thing. So if I do something, so how do we do that? There is another important step over here. how do you wrap uh, how do you push the extension into the request, because modifying a request is should not be permitted, like permissible. Why? You cannot, I mean, you should not modify request. So instead of pass adding the user's data onto the request itself, like onto the request body or onto the header, you should not do that. It's not a good way to modify the request. Instead, we have extensions. Actix-web provider a request extension, so you add those other data into that extension and you fetch that extension onto the controller or wherever you need them. So let's create you know what should we run this thing first? Yes, we should run this thing first. On the main.rs, we can say authenticate requests. All right, why it's not showing anything? Log request, I'll go auth authenticate requests public async function authenticate requests. Let's do this thing. So it's called, I think there is in some, I don't know, maybe a typo, because I have said requests. It's a request. Yeah. So let's go over here. It will call the next middleware in action or the next step of execution. So these are the things that we need to implement over here. We need to perform these things. Let's close this thing now and let's see if everything is working. I'll run it with make. So I'll say make run. This way I can show you the logs that are being created. Okay, I hope this is visible. Let me again do plus plus. All right, so I'll just go to the this thing. I'll say I'll say make run. So now as you can see, the rust, this command has been run from the make file, rust log info cargo watch, this thing. Now you can see the logs, right? So info, the macro that we used will perform some logs like this. So it says starting the server is running, everything that is written in a info macro. So it gives other detail as well. It that found a runtime, this thing, and this service is there, it's running on this thing. All right, now let's see if the log request is working properly. Currently it's like posting it on console. You can create a file and save those, update that function to save it to a file. Let me just open a chat if anyone has commented something. Argya Sarkar, why ghosty? Because I was fed up using iterm and the default terminal, so that is why I've been using it. And there are some differences, like if I open a new tab, then it will not point it from the same directory. I will have to again do that thing. So this is good, ghosty. All right, so we have 14 viewers currently watching. Guys, it would be good if you can like this stream, share it with your friends. I have a GitHub repo pinned on the chat. Go there, clone this code in your laptop and you can just do code along with me. I have another chat over there that has my Discord URL, so you guys can join it over in the channel, the server on them, and then we can talk there. If you guys feeling any issues or have any questions, we can go there. Hello, Arghya Sarkar. Thanks for being on chat. That was amazing. All right, no questions for now. I think people are doing just fine. Let's open Postman and see if we can access our endpoint that is running on port 6002. Let me close the other things first. Here it's my Postman. One, two. All right. So I'll have HTTP. Let's do this. API v1 check status. All right, we haven't created anything over here. We'll see if the logging is working. If I go on init, I have a check status call. Should I create a new endpoint? Let me just think. Uh, because on this thing, what we'll do, we'll assume that there is a token on the header of this request, and the thing that we learned today is to how to attach a data into a request instead of modifying a request by using extensions. All right, we'll wrap it around arc smart pointer, and then we'll do so. What we'll do, we'll create a table, user table. I'll have some info there, and then I'll update. First of all, I will insert some data onto that table, a user table, and then I'll update that thing, and I'll use a payload in the request, so it will be a post request. We can fetch the data as well. Yeah, so let's do this. First of all, let's check if this thing is working. I should see logs over here. Let me just do this thing. Yeah, I should see some logs over here. Let's hit. It's a get request 602 API v1 check status. If I hit this thing, I'll say okay. Message is okay, status is okay. Let's see if we are okay. Now you can see the logs over here. So it says incoming request. The path is API v1 check status. The method is get. The PG row status, it returned a timestamp from our PostgreSQL database. That shows us that how the next works. First of all, it goes to log request. It performs a next dot call. Then the auth function called. There is no logging here. If I add a logging on the auth middleware, then you can see. I'll just simply call info. I'll say auth called, and after the this thing as well, I can always match it. Let's do it properly. If I match it, I'll say okay. I'll say info success, and then I'll do this. And if I have any error, I can log the error. And I can just return this thing from here. Why the error macro is not working? We don't have any error macro is there, right? So we'll say error occurred, and here is the error, right? So now you will see auth co okay. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. I can simply say response. Yeah. So you should see these details as well now. So it shows that first of all log is called, then auth is called. So you will see how next is working. It is just calling the next step of execution. All right. It has been refreshed. Let me do this thing, and let me again code this thing. Status is okay. Now here you can see auth called, incoming request. We have checked status, request completed successfully, and we saw a success over here from the auth middleware. Oh, one important thing. Yes, yes, yes. Thankfully I did that. Thankfully I did that. Otherwise I wouldn't have, like, that hit my mind. You know what? If I go on the main file, you see the order over here. I have written first, then I have written this thing. It works actually reverse. So if I want to perform log request first, then I'll have to keep it on the down. What is that called? So it's LIFO, last in first out, right? It's a queue. So if I sorry, yeah. So you see, I am keeping this first because I want the log request to log first and then auth. Alright, so it's a queue. So last in, first out, or the first in, last out. Alright, so thankfully I logged the middle like the auth middleware as well, because without that I couldn't have like tell you this important point over here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's do it again. So now the incoming request, now the logging is working first. So log passed, it called next, auth is called, it called next. It performs some logic on the database, it fetched the timestamp. Now the auth is called again. Remember the onion layer that I told you on the starting? And then after this request has been completed successfully. That is the logger log from the logger. So it's a kind of onion, right? So this was the first layer, and it will be the last layer if from the inside out. So it's a kind of onion thing. So these logs show that the request comes from the outer layer, goes into the app, performs some operation. In our case it fetches the timestamp from the database, and then it returns the response to the client. So the first one on the layer should be the last one while coming out from the app, right? So it is the same thing. Incoming request, this is the logger, and the last one to call is this. The second layer, authentication, it performs some operation on the database, and the second last layer to be called is the second from the outside. Okay, so this is how middleware will work, and I hope you guys are like, you got the idea. It would be good if you have your laptop with you so that you can experience it firsthand. What is this thing? If not, there is a pinned link of my repo on the chat, so maybe you can just take a clone right now and start with me. All right, now let's do one thing. Let's go on the log authentication request middleware. Let me show you how to uh, attach any data to the request. All right. So let's imagine we have fetched the request headers. We have fetched the request headers. We have, validated the OR token. We decoded it, right, from the JOT, and we have some ID over here, like a user info over here. So now let's say I have let user equal to, I need a struct, so I can always create a folder called utils mode.rs types.rs node types. Ooh la la, types. Alright, now if I go on the main file, I can say mode types. No, I'll say utils. And I'll have this thing over here. I'll validate it by go to the definition GD. I am here. Now I need to create some types. I called it types because I have the habit of working in TypeScript, so I have a separate file over there that I create my types on to validate few things. So I'll say user info. I'll have a user ID. What should I use size? Yeah, let's do this thing, user ID. So let's imagine we have user ID we have attached while creating a JOT token. We attach this thing on the JOT. Now let's go on auth. Don't worry, we will implement all these things. So just for now, we will implement it once we create a JOT and send it to the client, and we have it in our headers. All right. So to fetch the headers, we'll do request.headers and something like that. We have functions around it, and so now let's imagine it has been like the JOT has been extracted, and we have something like this. Okay. I think I made a boo-boo, but again, no problem. I'll say user info, user ID 1. You see, I need to make it public because everything is private by default and everything is immutable by default. So that is the good thing. You do this. Field is private. No, we already made it public. Am I daydreaming or what? Are we doing this for real? User ID. Alright. So now we have user. Now how do we attach the request to the user? Because modifying a request is strictly not a good thing. You should not modify headers, body of a request. I mean, you can do that. You can modify a request body. You get the data. What would you think? Okay, I have a user ID. I should add it into the request body, and later on I can wherever I will process that request on the request body, I will have that thing. But no, avoid that thing. Instead, try to add it to the extension. Now we'll see Actix-web provides extension method in the request where you can attach all the information that you will be needing on the next step. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's go and check Actix-web extension. All right, we have a like. That is geared. That is geared. So we have 19 viewers or 17 viewers. Guys, it will need only a thumbs up for you to motivate me. But for now, I'll just charge my laptop. So okay. That is a good viewership I have today. 16, 15 viewers. That is good. I hope you guys are like coding along with me. Hmm. Okay. We have a middleware now. If I go on to requests, as you can see on your system, if I click it over here, I can see maybe I could get some, a method that I want to show you that is called extensions. Or maybe I could do a simple, Google search that how to attach items to a request in Actix-web patterns. Database is holding on auto loading. What is this? Okay, that is fine. I'll watch exit. I yeah, Actix actor. Maybe on the Actix-web doc. If I search for extension, come on, request dot extensions, extension mute, request dot extension mute. This is what we need. This is what we need. Returns a mutable reference to the request local data extension container. Okay, this is what we need. If we can get some, no, yeah. So this is what I'm talking about. You can get the headers like this, and then you can check if it's a valid jot token or not. Let me just extension mute. If I could see extension mute. No. Extensions mute. Yeah. Mutable reference to the request extension container. The extension container is what we will attach our data to. But I was just about to show you how, like, how we pass anything to it. Anyways, let's go or take. Let's go here. So we have a user. Now I need to attach this thing to a request so that I can utilize it later on the next point, right? I can say request dot. I have this thing extensions mute. It returns this thing. And what does it take? If I do arc new, I can pass user. Will that be okay? Expected 0 argument. Of course, of course, of course, of course. How do we wrap it in our user? Comparison operator cannot be changed. Use this instead of this. Attempt to use a non-constant value. Considering using const instead of let. And why it throws an error on using a let? Because it should be constant, right? It should not be changed because we are going to share it between threads, so there could be a race condition, so that is why. Maybe if I have a user info, uh, you know what, let's do this thing using extension mute from Actix-web. How do we use that? So guys, feel free to check out my GitHub account as well, and also join on my Discord server. So we have around like 8 to 10 people there, and we could create a community there. If we have any issue or any error, then we can always ask. Extensions dot get is there. Okay, if it's a get, then there should be you can call the insert. You can call the insert. Here I can call user. What the hell? I think I forgot to do this. Request dot extensions mute. Okay, all right. This thing is here. Okay, so extension mute dot insert, as it says on the mutable reference, it returns. This method takes a value of type that implements static trait and insert it into a map, replacing any existing value of same type and return the old value if one existed. For example, you can insert a custom person struct or a string value within a middleware function. So this is what we did. Now this way we have attached a user decoded from this jot token. We have attached this thing to the inserted into the map of the extensions mute container. All right, wrapped it with arc. Now this thing is done over here. Now how do I access it? That's another thing. For that, maybe we can have like configuration dot service scope. Here I can say, okay, again, sorry, I shouldn't be doing it here because it's one scope, and all of the things I think will be done here. I'll create another service. Hmm, let me just remove this thing from here. I'll say resource. I'll have a path that says, for now let's name it check user, because we are checking this thing, right? So it will be of course a get user. I'll return this thing. Okay, and I'll say two. I need a control like a handler now, so I'll say check user. I'll create this handler on the check health route only. So I'll say I could create a separate controller for it. I could create a separate controller for it. I'll name it user controller. Right. I'll call it user controller dot rs. Maybe the name is too big. Maybe it says user dot rs, and I'll say all right. Yeah. So amazing. We have a like. So guys, make sure to like this stream. You just have to hit the like, and share this video with your friends as well. Amazing. Let's uh, add this thing. I'll say user. All right. So I have API responses. I have a health route. The same thing. I'll do it for user controller. So I'll go. I'll say function check health. Do we need pool? Yes, we need pool, but we need request. Do we have something like HTTP requests? Yes, I'll say pool. We have data and PG pool, right? Now we need to return a result. No, we need to return something that will implement a responder. All right. So we have HTTP request, we have PG pool data. If we are going to, go on the repository where we will query the database, then it will help us, right? So let's implement, first of all, let's, this thing, make this thing HTTP response. I'll say okay. I'll say JSON will have a value, say AP, I'll say API response uh, will pass, string. uh, maybe we can have HTTP requests. We can get the extension and that will be of type current user that we have already created, so that is fine. We'll pass the okay, so if we are going to pass anything, then we don't need to specify the struct right over here. But let's suppose we are going to pass the user information, so yeah, we'll do so. We'll say status, it's a 200 status. I'll have a message. I'll say format uh, user info fetched, right? And say results, and results will be some user info. That's not required. I'll say user details. Let's create this thing, user details. So now what we need to do here is, I'll say, because now that we have a request and we will fetch the extensions, right? So what I'll do, I'll say let extensions will be rec dot extensions. I'll have this extension over here, right? And I'll say if let some, let's say user details. I'll pass this user detail later on. So what I'll do, I'll say extensions dot get. Now this get thing, we need to map the type as well. And what will be, okay, and what will be the type? It should be look like user info that we have created, right? And it should be there. All right, I can do this, semicolon. Okay, on the okay, I'll have the user info from the extension, and on the error I will simply return HTTP response some internal server error dot JSON API response. It will be a string. Status code will be 500. Message would be this thing, and results would be none. Now here are we getting some error. We are getting some error over here. Why? Because extensions dot get we did a silly mistake over here. Can you guys just uh, assume what is that? So we have 13 people watching. Guys, make sure to go on the, on the pinned chat. I have a GitHub repo. This code is there. You can, do a follow along by taking a clone of that thing. Make sure to fork it, star it, and follow me on the GitHub as well. And there's a Discord link on the chat as well, so you can join the channel as well. Okay, back to this thing. So can you guys guess what went wrong there? Are you able to see? No, that is fine. I'll tell you. This thing has to be inside this thing. Hmm. Okay. Uh, okay. It says this user detail. Instead, I can simply do user detail. No. Okay, I got it now. I have the user detail inside this if let sum, so I will return it from there. You see, I will return it from there. So I have this current user, and on the inside this current user, I'll have this thing. So instead of here, I can do if let sum, right? So I can make an else statement over here, and inside here I'll have this, and may it if I copy this thing, then I can paste it over here. It will be returned on error, and maybe I can completely uh, remove this thing. Now here on this part I'll have some user detail, right? It says the trade bound is not satisfied, so I'll go on the user info. I'll use some macro over here. I'll say hash derive serialize. Yeah, Yeah, so this way it says cannot find E error, so I'll simply say error occurred, or a user not found, or you know what I can say, unauthorized access. Why? Because the user detail is not found, so basically it's an 400, right? And instead of internal server error I can say unauthorized. All right, this pool data I will make, update. I don't need it, because I did it because maybe in maybe I could contact database, but I think this is for check health of the user. So instead I'll say uh, I can have check user named. If I go here and on the routes, I can now fetch check user like this, and I can just do this thing. uh, Expected semicolon, I will do this. All right, so this handler has been added over here. If I go there, it's a controller that will fetch the extension on which we have attached our data. We will get this extension by unwrapping it from the arc that we have done. We do a type matching over here, user info, and then when we have, if we received our user that we have attached, we will return it into the response. Otherwise we will say it's an unauthorized access. All right, so I hope you guys like able to understand how we attach uh, extension into how we attach a data into a request using a mutable extension method, right? It added we it added into a map, into a container. All right, instead of modifying the body or header of the data of the request. So let's check this thing over here. uh, Warning mode dot rs route. It should not be any issue right now. Yeah, so we'll just if I do check status, we'll check our logs as well. Then I'm getting okay, logs are being filed properly. And if I go over here and say check user, if I do a check user, then I should see the user that I have attached to the user, attached on the extension method, right? So if I send this, it says root not found. But why? Check user, is it not defined? Let's see what the log says. It says incoming request, check user, request completed successfully. Oh my god, auth is scored. What the hell happened? Let's check. It's an unauthorized access. Routes, check user, service, check status API slash v1 slash check user. If I go there, I can see some user details. Do we need to await it? What do you say, guys? No, I don't need to await it. It just completed successfully, but on the postman it says 404, a root not found, API v1 check user. Should I hit it again? Root not found, root not found, root not find. But again it says path is this, and this is get API v1 check user. uh, Service get to check user. Why is that happening? 16 people watching around, but I've got one thumb. But I've got one thumb, guys. You need to show some like ratio. Like we could have a balance like to viewers ratio. That would be good. Also, you are feel free to say hi on the chat. Hmm. It goes on to not found. It doesn't come up here. It goes on to this thing. I think it is not inside the scope. The scope is already ended here. Maybe I could, you know, just d it, and I can just do this, and I have a service over here. Then I can, paste it. The only way it is not, it is going inside this because it doesn't happen to be here. It should be there. It should be inside this scope. So actually, we wrote it outside the scope. I just mapped the like the color coding of the scope, uh, the bracket where it ends. Now we are under this scope. Now it should fire properly. Let me just hit enter. The server is reloaded. If I hit send, I can see the user info fetched with the result that says user ID is this. So I hope you guys are able to see this thing. So this is how you attach data to a request using mutable extension method, extension mute of Actix-web. All right. So yeah, so this is the crucial step, one of the important step to you know uh, learn while creating the APIs and writing backend. Okay, this will be useful when we will decode our thing. Now another thing is, how do we access the payload sent on a request, and how do we do that? I'll make it to a post request. Maybe I can create another one. I'll say service. Is it resource? I'll say save. For now, let's say save user. Right. I'll say root. It will be a post root to save user. All right. I don't have a save user here, so I'll copy this thing. I'll go inside user controller, and I'll create another function. Let me just drag it up. I'll say pub async function save user. I'll have a request over here, HTTP request. I'll have a payload over here. Uh, it will be of how a payload is defined. We'll see that. So let me just first add this thing here as well. We are not going to use it, but you know it will be there. PG pool. All right. It will return something that implements a responder. So we'll say let we'll again we will the data that will pass from the in a postman request body, we will access it over here, combine it with the data that is available on request and send it back to the client. So this way we will read the data and we will send back the data to the client. So saving the data part, that it will be done if we have created a table on the database, we'll do that thing, we'll use an insert query. So but for that we need to create a table. So but for now let's understand how to read the payload that is already available, that is attached onto a request body, and how we can make it type safe, and how Actix-web help us to make it a type safe request. Just like in Node.js we use several libraries, right, like Jod and other things to check or type safe a incoming request. So as you can see when we try to fetch the extension, we already wrap it around this. So this also added another layer of check, that the user info is strictly defined to this type user info struct. And if if there is any way that the request has been, the extension has been modified in between, so it will not going to map it over here, it will be an error. Okay, so we'll do that. But for now, that how to get a payload or this thing. So what we'll do, let's suppose we have a variable called payload, and let's wrap it inside this thing. So we have Actix-web JSON thing, and we will define a type over here. All right, let's say user. We already have user info, right? Let's say user body, user payload, right? You see how this is like restricting us to use a type safe payload. It says we will wrap it in Actix-web JSON, and it should be of this type. So anything if we will pass that does not comply with this struct definition, it will be an error. All right, so we'll go inside user info. I'll create first of all I will just add some deserialize. I'll have something over here. Deserialize. I use this thing. I'll say pub struct user payload. I'll have a pub username, uh, pub user email, and let's say pub user address. uh, let's map it over here. I'll say user payload. Okay, now how do I fetch how do I access this thing? I'll say let payload is equal to payload dot into inner. So I have a payload over here now. I need to implement this thing. I'll again fetch the 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 user info data as well from the request, because we will wrap all these things together. So we'll say let extensions is equal to rec dot extensions, and we'll have if let some user the details is equal to extensions dot get user info that we already defined, right? uh, and we'll do the else part over here. So let's do the else part first. Response dot unauthorized not JSON API response. I'll say status 400 MSG. By the way, is the status 400 stands for unauthorized message? I'll say format unauthorized access, and we'll have a results of none. All right. Now let's handle this part. Oh, if and else have incompatible type, of course, of course. All right. Now I have a user detail over here. Now what I'll do, I have a user detail, I have a payload. So I will make a user item around it. I'll say I'll have to create another this uh, thing over here. It says derive serialize. I'll say pub struct user. What was it? User detail. Let's do that. So I'll have user info as user info, and then I'll have user payload as user payload. So I'll wrap all these things together. Required by bound attributes. I'll say this thing. Deserialize is not satisfied. All right. So what I can do, I'll say user details. I'll have a user info here. So I will say user details. Is it? And user payload. I'll say what was it? User payload will be maybe I could just simply say payload. It satisfies that thing, right? Mismatch type expected struct found a reference. Maybe I could get user info. What did it says? ID, user ID. I'll say and oh sorry, and user detail dot user ID. Is this okay? Find okay. Let me just remove this thing. Expected if and else have incompatible type. Of course, if and else have incompatible type. HTTP response dot okay dot JSON API response I'll say status as 200 msg, format all is well, and we have results that is of some user item. Yep, we are good. So what did we do? We created a post request. We now we are accessing the payload as well. All right, let me just first save this thing. Maybe, instead of here as well, I can say save user also. Save user. All right, we are good. So I created a post request that will again access a request that is attached on to a HTTP request. And now I am also considering payload into account. Payload into account means I will pass a JSON body from the in the request body, and here I'll access it. What I'm doing currently, this save user function, it will access the payload that's from the request body, and also it will get the extension that is attached onto the request, then combine those all two into a separate new struct and save it back send it back to the client. All right, all these things that I'm doing over here that says JSON, wrap it into a a struct, this ensures the payload's type safety as well. All right, so you see I have a user payload defined with a strict naming over here that says username, user email, user address. If I add another variable from in the postman's body on the request body, let's say I'll say user last name, then it will throw an error because it doesn't match this thing, right? The same goes for this thing extensions as well. So if suppose in a way someone cracked into our system and update the request in between, then it will also check this thing over here, user info. It will make sure that there is only public id, sorry, a user id only to it, no other thing than user id. Oopsie. So let's check this thing now. Let's check this thing. I will create another request that is a post request. I'll say http localhost save user. On the body I will just post a JSON data. I'll just copy the things. Where is this thing? User payload. I'll copy these variables: username, user email, user address. Say username weapon, right? A user, oh, email. I'll say darklord at yopmail.com, and I'll say what's that? User address. I'll say Uttarakhand. Okay, now let's I made a post request. I had a JSON body around this thing, and now I am making a request onto the our newly created function save user. We'll see if we have any logs over here. And all right, we have written the response, all is well. We have the combined result that has a user info of user id and have a user payload that we send it from the on the request, right? So these are our requests. So I have a path post request on this thing, so the logging is also working. Now let's see if I add password to it. Let's see how it behaves. I'll say this thing. All right, let's do Okay, it shouldn't do that. It didn't check it. It didn't check it. It should check, right? Or am I just daydreaming about this thing that it will check for this safety of this thing? Or do we have to create another method that will make sure that it is strictly it the payload, it maps to this thing? Or maybe, instead of adding this thing, I should remove user address from it. Let's see how it goes. Let's remove this thing, beautify it. I'll send this thing. Now I'm getting an error. It says missing field, user address. So now it is erroring out. Now let's see the logs. It doesn't throw any error over here. It says request completed successfully. So few problems over here. First of all, log should show an error that is not showing. Secondly, if I add something, it also like consider it as an error because we are adding the parameters that are not defined. So we need to make it safe. Maybe but before that, let me just do this thing. Okay, so if you guys want to try it out, the latest code is on GitHub, so clone that thing. Let's figure out what is happening. Okay, 13 people watching, 2 likes. That is amazing. 2 likes, guys. Come on. We can. Okay, I have a low battery on my phone. So, one thing, guys, if you know, if you like this stream, I will curl the dumbbells. How many likes do you give? Like if it's 4 likes, I'll curl it 4 times. If you give me 10 likes, I'll curl the dumbbells 10 times live. Okay. I have around like 7.5 kg dumbbell each. So we can do that. But for that, you need to like this stream. So like for each like I'll do a dumbbell curl. Where is my charger? Okay, are we charging? Yes, 17%. Okay. Anyways, a few things to note. The things are working here, all right. But I think we mispronounce what it says. Maybe we could like create a separate function that will check for the requests parameter, so that we can validate the request and only accept, make it very strict. But again, there is an idea that says, I heard it somewhere, that says, you have to be liberal when you create the API. You accept things. Oh, sorry, you that's actually a reverse, so I think we need to do that. So you accept very that let's see if Actix-web provides anything. Maybe we are getting this whole definition wrong. If not, then we will have to create a function that will check for the variables on the request and make it very strict. How do we do that? How do we do that? So I have a request. I can, always. How do I map the values with the struct? First of all, let's see how to make the request type safe in Rust using Actix. Maybe Actix-web provides a function or something like that. You can implement custom extractor by defining a type and implementing from request. The request struct can also be used as an extractor to accept like headers query and this. I don't think will it provides us that thing. But let's say it has info. Extract info using serd. I'm using web.json. That is fine. So it maps it. Okay, so I think it accepts at least, I mean, there should be an at least this values onto it, right? So if we perform or do anything less than the specified struct, it will throw an error. If there is a type mismatch, it would be an error. So it is partially very strict though, but it accepts more than that. So should we do that? I think it's the architecture, right? We should accept everything but only give out few things. This is how it's done. It is web payload, a web payload. Payload is a stream of bytes. Payload dot next, there is a chunk overflow. Hmm. Maybe you guys can have it as takeaway work if you want to do. Let's check if we have some people joining on Discord. Come on, guys. Don't you want me to like curl the dumbbells? So make sure to hit that thumb on the screen. So we have 9 members over here. Come on, we need to build this community. So make sure to join this channel, and then we can have all our things over here. Like if you have any questions, or if you want to chat, or if you want to talk to other guys, so we can do that. Okay. So yeah. So what we learned today? We learn how to read the payload that has been passed onto a request body, right? We learn how to attach the request, any data to the request instead of modifying the request itself. We need to attach something, and how do we fetch it? We fetch it by using extensions.get. We wrap it around arc. We attach the request by using extensions mute function. Okay, what is the time? It's 2 hours already. All right, so I think this is it for today. It So we have like initial setup ready. We have middlewares, we have controllers and everything. And on the next stream, I think we are good to target our DB, and we need to create tables for it. So maybe I have all those schema things ready beforehand, you know, or maybe I can do it on on the stream. We'll think about it. So I think we have it ready. We have controllers in place. We have repository files in place. We have middlewares in place. We'll start by few things on the next stream. Uh, we'll start by creating a login API. All right, for a user, and we will check every request that it's a valid request and authorized request or not. So we will make some changes on the postman to save that token on the header itself after the login call. It should reflect like a browser. Okay, second thing, we will do some user related queries. We'll do some user related queries, and we will create our and products and products related queries. So we'll do these things on the next stream. So we'll do it quick, right? We have our initial setup ready, so it won't be any issue now. This code is on GitHub. Feel free to check that out. Few things that is not working. One thing that is not working is once a request fails, as you can see in that case, I removed a variable from this JSON body on the request. It gives me an error. It says a missing field, and of course it's a result from from the server, because it's a 400 bad request. It should be unauthorized basically. So let's see it. um, 401. So let's do that thing. uh, let's go on the controller. Do it. 401. All right, let's hit it again. Now it says because it must be reloading. Let's do it again. Again, it's a bad request because it's been already, like, before going on to the main controller function, it is rejected by the payload handler. It must be checking the type we have defined should have a user address, but it's not there. So it's the thing here is, it says request completed successfully, so you need to check what's going on here. We need that error message as well. That okay, this thing is this thing the error that we face, that is the variable not available or unable to pass the JSON. So we need to do that. So you guys can check this thing. If not, we'll check it together. So that is it for today. The next task are over here. We'll create a login API. We'll handle jot tokens. Uh, and we will have our user related queries. and product related queries. So maybe we could create a product table and perform some queries around it, and then we will have our front end ready. That will be in TypeScript, and we can log in from there. We can fetch or update any user details like address, name, or something like that on the settings page. Then we will show list our products. We can add the products, delete the products, modify the products, something like that. So that will be our application. All right, so that is it. Few things we have learned today. That was good. Okay. uh, Maybe I could just do this. I'll say status code update. All right, the code is on GitHub, guys. Feel free to go there, check that out. All right, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Hello, 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 Indresh. So I'll see you next time, guys. Next time, this will be our agenda for next time. We'll create login API. That will be a long stream. That will be around like 3 or 4 hours a stream. So we'll do that thing. I hope you guys like learned something out of it about the Actix-web, and of course you must be familiar with all these, server things that we use, like the middlewares. How next? What does next do? And how to attach data onto the request instead of modifying the entire request and all right, okay, so I'll see you next time. I'll just update the on the mobile stream now. So bye, guys, see you later. Thank you for watching this boring stream, and if this suits you, make sure to like this stream, share it with your friends, and check out my other videos on the stream, on the video, on the channel as well. Okay, bye bye, see you later.